one of the things is like BRRRR or bust, which we make sure people are not on that train of thought, right? Like you have to have a longer term time frame and horizon, but there are still some good compelling deals with fully vacant units, and people are just not jumping at them.
Yeah, even back when things were really hot, and people were doing BRRRRs. I was always a little hesitant to sell the BRRRR.
A lot of shiny object things going on right now. A lot of people, I mean, they've seen that there's other people in the U.S. or in Alberta or wherever, and I think that kind of distracts a little bit of focus from Ontario.
Let's have the deal make fundamental sense prior to the value add, and then go add the value.
Like I was going to say Kobe and Jordan, but they didn't play at the same time. But you got somebody giving the alley oop and then somebody slamming it down. So you gotta have a team approach, and of course like a solutions oriented approach. So
boring real estate rules,
because you could be so bad at it but still make money. Welcome back to REI Hot Seat. I've got Jacob Campagnaro and David Hulshof on the show. This is one of our first 3 people episodes. So thanks guys for doing this.
Thank you.
Right on.
So today's theme, well, I've got 2 commercial realtors sitting next to me here. So we're going to be talking about what's working, what you guys are seeing, what's not working. Ultimately you've got, it's a team, right? Like I was going to say Kobe and Jordan, but they didn't play at the same time. But you got somebody giving the alley oop and then somebody slamming it down. So you gotta have a team approach, and of course like a solutions oriented approach. So I've been talking a lot, guys. First off, David, how you doing?
Great. I appreciate you having me on. Where do we start? What's not working would be maybe more fun.
No, there's lots of good stuff to talk about. So something that Andrew and I have talked about in the past is and I think you and I have been saying it around the office a lot, which is boring real estate. Yeah. Boring real estate rules. Doyle rules. You got it. It's, and that's really what I said, this, I think 2024, 2025 is going to be about, right? And in the foreseen future, for me at least, and where I want to take my book of business is less high risk investing, less exposure to market factors. So the 12-month BRRRR, the 6-month BRRRR.
That's exactly what
I think there's still value add out there. And I don't want, when I say boring real estate, I don't mean there's no value add to it, but let's have the deal make fundamental sense prior to the value add, and then go add the value.
Like as a turnkey with a value add potential.
And so maybe that takes 4 years, 3 years, 2 years rather than 6 months or 1 month, but the value add is still there. Yeah. You just got to drag out the horizon a little bit. You got to put that a little further out.
Do you find that there's some, like from buyers, it seems like they're a little trigger shy for those, value add plays? Like there's some good quality inventory out there that people aren't pulling triggers on, and you sort of scratch your head.
And they work as a BRRRR.
Yeah,
not like a perfect BRRRR or anything like that.
We made one of the things is like BRRRR or bust, which we make sure people are not on that train of thought, right? Like you have to have a longer term time frame and horizon. But there are still some good, compelling deals with fully vacant units, and people are just not jumping at them.
Yeah. Well, we were running the sixplex in St. Catharines, right? And that was vacant sixplex in St. Catharines. You're looking at it, and you're like, okay, it's vacant. There's no tenant to deal with. It's ready to go. I believe there was a lot of CapEx done. Don't quote me on it. But great property, and you can get in there. You can get the renos done, go MLI, don't go MLI. I think we decided don't go MLI, just keep it lean and mean. And geez, we were running the BRRRR, like it wasn't a full BRRRR. I think there was like 100K, 50K left in the deal.
90%, like most of your capital.
Right.
And not jumping at it. We even went and got a well-known contractor to go out, price it, and guarantee the work within 2 months. So you're sort of just taking risk off the table. And it's still not, it's not jumping. People aren't jumping at it.
And I want to flip that back to you, Andrew, because we've got the three-way thing going on. It's fun. But like you do coaching, you speak with a lot of investors that are looking to buy own portfolios already. What's the conversation on your end look like? Because we're like, I think we're biased the way we look at things, because we're always trying to get like, what's the best angle for this?
I think a lot of shiny object things going on right now. A lot of people, I mean, they've seen that there's other people in the U.S. or in Alberta or wherever, and I think that kind of distracts a little bit of focus from Ontario. Obviously, there's still lots of money to be made in Ontario, but I think a lot of people have just kind of, what should I do next? Like, what's the play? I also think that, and I'm very curious from you guys what you think what your perspective is, but I've said this a lot. I just don't see the interest in real estate investing in general like I used to, like the fanboys and fangirls who just wanted in, and they knew everybody knew somebody who had made a ton in real estate because you could be so bad at it but still make money.
And I was going to say, I think because the allure of the
it's
get rich quick
it's not
is gone, right?
So that you're going to get the more methodical people buying up the deals you're talking about, but a lot of them, I think they're just slow and steady. Like the heavy BRRRR guys were the ones who were full of hope and passion, and they were just like ready to crush a deal. So maybe some of them are just still on the sidelines because they're still hurt. Maybe they got caught.
I think that's right. Yeah. And those people are stabilizing their existing portfolio.
Yeah, and they'll come back, right? And you know, they're missing out on good deals right now, which is an opportunity for other people who want to take advantage of them potentially. I mean, of course, like hindsight will be 2020, and in 5-10 years we'll look back at this time and know whether that was the perfect time to buy or there was an even better time. Who knows?
No, and I think it's going to boil down to like even back when things were really hot, people were doing BRRRRs. I was always a little hesitant to sell the BRRRR.
Yeah,
same. Because your contingencies weren't great if you needed it. Yeah,
and you know, I was talking with Zach, our other business partner, about this morning, and we were kind of like, man, are we talking ourselves out of deals? Like, are these viable deals that we're like, hey, maybe? And so there's a lot of that in the market is what I'm trying to say. But I think it's just back to deal fundamentals, right? And the whole theme of this episode is going to be, well, what is working, what's not working? So what I think is working is just like straight up deal fundamentals. What is your cash on cash return? I know I say that a lot. What is your cap rate? What is your total ROI over 1 year? And what's your total ROI over the term of the mortgage, right? 5 year, 10 year. What does that look like?
Based on what fundamentals, though? Are you just figuring like 1% appreciation rate kind of thing?
Yeah.
Roughly
nice
flat.
And easy and nice and slow.
So you're getting something in the 10 to 15% overall return range.
Right. Yeah. Is the property cash flowing? Like I always love to target a 5% cash on cash return. Like that's kind of my...
That's doing pretty well by today's standards.
Yes, it is.
But those deals are out there, though.
They're out there. They are. And like depending markets, countries, whatever, it's all going to change. These are per market, indicators. But like a 5% cash on cash return, I look at it and go, that's a great number, right? So we're going to maximize our loan to value to the point where we're putting, we're getting that 5% cash on cash return. We're balancing in the ROI to be around that 20%, 25%. Between your principal pay down, your passive appreciation, your active appreciation.
Yeah, and we've seen deals like that too. I know we've run it on our show where you're 20% on the overall return. I mean, I personally think if you're convicted in your 20% return on a deal, I mean, that's great numbers for Ontario right now. If you can do that. I mean, that's by no means the average deal. The average deal, I mean, it's probably under 10, but you guys aren't dealing an average. You're usually finding a creative structure for deals or finding better deals.
Yeah, and I'll throw this one at Dave, but like I just think the heavy cash flow, the 150K out, the 200K out, the 300K out deals are just not as sexy anymore.
No.
Like, what are you seeing in that side? Like, are you guys still hunting those BRRRRs?
With like value add to capital? Yeah. I mean, we've got a large client base, so we sort of go where the deals go. But again, we go back to that 6 unit, right? The vacant one. I mean, you sort of run the metrics, you start putting risk premiums on them, and you go, what if? It's hard not to make a success of that, but you have to be in the situation of being able to leave some capital in, right? It's the BRRRR bust. Those people are gone, right? Where they have to get all their capital out. So there's people that are comfortable leaving it in, and the people that have a little bit more of a time horizon, I don't envision them not being successful.
But is that sorry? Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so like if you were to categorize the people who are in this, a lot of the people who have money that they'll leave in a deal would also entertain a turnkey, knowing that in 5-10 years, or there may be a development play on it in some way down the road, right? They don't need to have that guaranteed in the next 12 months. I'm gonna juice the cash flow to get my return.
We're seeing more buyers heading towards direct to CMHC deals.
Just direct to CMHC, willing to leave some money into it, because I think a lot of people are evaluating their time available to even engage. And doing a perfect BRRRR is a lot of work and focus. And the people who used to do it, they almost made it like an active job because they could live off their refinances. That was a common thing. That's not there anymore. No. So who is it that's going to come in and actively crush a deal? There's got to be some sort of middle ground where it's a deal where if you put all the pieces in place, hire a contractor, there's a mathematically calculated return there.
Yes.
But it's not going to suck up all their time to do that deal. Because I'm sure a lot of the clients you guys are working with, They have jobs, they have other things they do. Investing is how they optimize their money.
Yeah, it's blends, right? There's groups. But again, those larger groups are now coming out, right? Those are the ones who sat on the sidelines, and I'm sure you'd resonate with that, where when things were crazy, they'd take a phone call, they'd look at deals, but they weren't jumping as aggressively. Now they are coming out to the forefront saying,
it's funny. It's the exact opposite of what the market was dictating, right? It's like,
yes.
So now, and this is, again, that's black and white, such a good strategy. It's like, okay, nobody's buying now. Now we're going to go buy, right? And because they built that portfolio. And I always go back to holistic investing. It's one of my favorite things to say. I sell real estate, yes, but I also like to look at everything. Like, what do you do for a living? What are you saving?
What's the fit?
We can even go into like, what are you putting into your retirement savings plan or your tax-free savings account? Like, I love that. And I love building portfolios for people and saying, okay, overall, how are we doing this?
How does
right?
this fit?
And I don't think you should quit your job because you own one 10-unit building. No. Sorry.
Right.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
But
that's like common sense. That's like common sense. And as an entrepreneur, like and having done that for like 12 years, 14 years now, it's like, that nothing is guaranteed forever. Like, yes, that deal might be working well right now, but what happens if you hit a hiccup? And you guys are also entrepreneurs, so that advice comes naturally. You knew what it was like to wait for your commission checks to come in and budget. And you're right. Like, that's a conversation that needs to be had with some people where you might even, for you, it's like a given. Like, of course, well, you got to make sure you're covered on all angles.
And that's the other thing. It's like, we can go back to, and I know I'm not making real estate sound sexy right now, but I'm very passionate about this line of thinking and investing is like, listen, if you want to have cash, heavy cash flow, right? Go buy a business, right?
Yeah.
Stick with your job, right?
Yeah.
But like, we always look at CEOs and they're like, well, what do you do? Or like really wealthy entrepreneurs, what do you do? Well, I buy businesses and I buy real estate, right? Yeah. And your business is for your cash flow. Your real estate's going to be for your long-term growth and your generational growth in your family,
right?
And so that's the conversations I'm really enjoying having now. It's like, hey, okay, how do we balance everything?
It seems like every cycle there's different opportunity, right? So now it's just a different conversation with different opportunity that's out there. And real estate is, you're successful in most things. You're successful if you have an appropriate timeline to some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
If your timeline,
if you look at the 10-year track record of real estate
position. If your timeline is a year, it's like, arguably you'd be in a stronger position today if you went for that strategy to get your money out as quickly as you could in 12 months than you would be a year or so ago, right? So it's just interesting that those people are not kicking doors in to go after a vacant 6 unit.
Yeah, but it's not like, we know like emotions aren't rational, right? Like people are governed by their emotions, and the market is really just the aggregate of all those emotions. Like, and that's why that whole concept of like a perfect market and that, it'll adjust it correctly. Like it's not, it adjusts to sentiment. Correct. And sentiment is not necessarily rational.
And that's why there's opportunity. Right? So that's where you get that arbitrage. Those opportunities.
Yeah, the opportunity exists right now. For sure. Like, probably more so than even a couple of years ago. Because a couple of years ago, I was looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, that seems risky. Like, how inflated this is. Like, how fast values have been going up. I was always firm that I didn't like a market like that. I didn't like a market going up like crazy. Like, sure, you can win, but how do you keep doing deals if you constantly have to up the ante so much?
It was crazy for a while. I mean, we talked about it. Like, again, the risk premium, right? You have those conversations and you say, hey, if your project timeline is 12 months, let's mess around and put 24. Yeah. Because that happens all the time, and you watch their whole deal explode.
Yeah.
Well, that's a huge risk.
Right. You gotta have those contingencies. So so if we wanted to put a bow on this one and say what we're seeing works, Jake and I did an episode on this a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the forward sale and how, like, basically it's an opportunity for a seller to create a nice tidy little package that can go strait to CMHC.
Yep.
We love those forward sale deals direct to CMHC.
And will those work with MLI Select?
Depending on the situation.
So the forward sale is basically where the seller agrees to sell a property in advance. So maybe in 12 months time after they complete a renovation, you can have your CMHC inspection done for the energy audit and all that stuff. And you could basically set something up that would cash flow on day one with only 5% down potentially.
We're doing one right now.
And the beautiful thing is for the seller is they're now they're now risk proofing that transaction for them, because they actually know, they're like, hey, if I put X amount into construction, I know here's my exit number.
You already know your exit
it's
number.
Solidified.
So if the seller knows what it would cost to get there, they're putting their sale on paper. They're making it real, whereas they might have struggled to sell it otherwise.
And I mean, it really does work out well. Like even on that particular deal during the forward sale, the owners of it, they're sitting there talking to tenants, and they're going, well, we better put good quality tenants in, right? Because they're finishing the project under the mindset that if this deal doesn't go through, we're gonna own this asset, and they're gonna transfer it over, and it's going, like, you could just fill it with bad tenants, but they don't want to do it, obviously, right? So it's a structure that really does work well when you have all sides kind of working in the same direction.
Yeah, for sure. So that's one strategy that works. And for those of you that's new, check out the episode a few back where Jake and I talked about that. What else is there? Like, there's the direct to CMHC.
Those are
that's the big one. I think that's one that's one of the only options right now. Like, there's,
and you're saying that because it's a longer amortization.
Unless you're coming in cash. Well, it's lower interest rate, longer amortization,
which gets buyers into cash flow.
Yeah, right. And it gives you that targeted ROI and cash on cash, right? So outside of that, yes, people are doing bridges to CMHC still, right?
So where they go in with a lender, a traditional like commercial lender, and then they'll
bridge it,
they move
go
over into the MLI.
And I see those being used very opportunistically.
That's sort of a BRRRR approach, right?
Traditionally, but now what I see happening is whether that's a distressed sale, whether it's whatever, if I know the sellers are looking for a quick closing,
you do it that way.
I'm going to give these guys a darn quick closing, and I'm going to get my pound for it, right? And so if I can come in there and say, hey guys, everybody else needs 3 to 6 months to close, I'll give you a 30 to 60 day closing here, right? Yes, it's going to cost me. Run your interest differential, right? Run the fee and run the extra interest over the term of holding that, and then just apply that to the price and say, first off, am I getting that discount off the price? Yes or no? Right. If yes, great. Then how much more am I getting now?
You got to get something to do.
And if you can balance it out, there's nothing wrong with going bridge to CMHC. Like I really like that.
It's why it matters. I mean, it always matters, but really getting a handle on why are they selling? What are they looking to do?
Right. Yeah. Understanding your seller.
Bridge those gaps, right?
Yeah. If you can understand your seller and it makes sense for them to do that, then
because to Jake's point, there are people that are like, they're distressed, they need to sell it. You start positioning, hey, give us 4-ish months to go to CMHC. They're like, that's not
it's
going
almost
to work.
impossible. I can't do it.
And then there's Panic City. So it's a much better scenario. So it's not that one is better than the other. It's just depending on what the structure needs to be. But we're saying you didn't do those before. Like you would do bridges, but you wouldn't do direct to CMHC because sellers wouldn't need to do it. Right. You can just buy it off me, or I'll sell it to him.
Sell it to someone else.
Right?
Yeah.
And now you're going, okay,
more of a balanced market allows you to do that stuff. Yeah.
Which is more fun for us, I would say, because you get to create much better structures to these things.
And the one thing I want to bring it right back to is like creativity can create a deal where others can't see it. So working with people who are smart, who understand it, and then also being analytical about it yourself and thinking about your situation, how you can make a deal work. Like those things all can work together to
you got to enjoy deal structuring, and then realize that like we have the power of the team, right? So there's I come up with these deals, like, hey, can I throw this by you? We're spitballing from Zach, and we're all kind of running through, ripping it apart, finding the problems.
That's my favorite part about this job.
It's great.
Like, it really
is genuinely one of the best parts.
The best part,
especially when you figure it out and you're like, yes, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's a cool conversations just around here because everybody in here pretty much is doing commercial real estate and this kind of thing. So it's a lot of good conversations. I like that I get to kind of absorb a lot of it from you guys. And
we learn a lot from you too. Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Well, it's a good scenario. So anyone watching this, if you want to work with anyone on Jake's team, Jake and Dave they run a real estate team together, and they have several other people. So if you want to work with them or learn more from them, there is the same old link in the description that you've filled out before, and you would basically be put in contact with somebody on their team, and they would have a chat with you, and you guys could tell more.
Shannon would reach out, Megan would reach out, and then from that point, once we get you guys in and understand a little bit what's going on, that's when Dave and I would reach out and connect. And we're going to run you through the full conversation, right, about the holistic investing. And what can we do? How can we help? What are we looking at? We're working with 3 or 4 REI Hot Seat buyers right now. And we've taken them from, hey, how you doing, to, you know, this is a good investment strategy for you. And now we're actually writing paper and doing offers. So it's, we've
looking at buildings.
Yeah, we're looking at buildings.
Great.
Yeah. So we've had great success. And anybody who's curious about buying or selling, you know, especially in terms of selling, like, you know, if you're interested in selling, we'll come down. Everything we talk about here today, we're going to be transparent with you about as well. We're going to show you, hey, with these strategies, with this creative deal structuring,
you can get more.
We can get you the most for your building.
Or get you what you need.
Or what you need, or the timeline to get you out, right? Depending on the scenario.
Defining success. Like what is success in this?
Exactly. So yeah, link below. Come on in. Dave and I will connect with you guys, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. All right, guys, if you made it this far, show the channel some love, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.